the next most insightful panel discussion session where we have 5 Odiya entrepreneurs who will be sharing their vision and the best practices on the theme Emerging Technologies to Improve Delivery of Services. For this, I will again request Dr. Deepak Kumar Sahu to moderate the session. The panelists for the panel discussion session are Priyadarshi Nanu Pany, founder and CEO CSM Technologies, Chandrahas Panigrahi, co-founder and CEO Edukemy, A.K.Mohanty, MD Tatwa Technologies, Priyadarshi Mohapatra, founder and CEO CureBay, Dhiru Khandelwal, MD Esquare System and Technologies Private Limited.
Let's start the discussion for the panel discussion session. So let me introduce the topic of the discussion is emerging technologies to improve the delivery of services. So when we talk about the topic, let me introduce about the topic like digital technology have made more lives increasingly convenient and it makes daily activities more manageable. And as more people adapt to it, they have also come to expect it from all organizations, including governments. IoT, AI, and predictive modeling has a huge role to play in the future of service delivery. Each technology provides service business with differentiating benefits from increasing maintenance, management to better workforce scheduling and ability to react quickly to make changes. Indeed, identifying the synergies in new technologies can be first step to uncovering entirely new way of delivering services. As digital transformation in Odisha, government is on rise. The idea behind organizing this panel discussion session is to bring Odiya technology entrepreneurs together to understand their thoughts on how newer technologies could enhance the delivery of services. To start with, let me introduce the panelists. Priyadarshi Mohapatra, founder and CEO, CureBay. Mr. A.K.Mohanty, MD Tatwa Technologies. Mr. Chandrahas Panigrahi, co-founder and CEO, Edukemy. And we have Priyadarshi Nanu Pany, founder and CEO, CSM Technologies, and Mr. Dhiru Khandelwal, MD Esquare System and Technologies Private Limited to join us. On this backdrop, I would request the panelists to share their thought on these questions. Can you share a brief intro on your business and the service you offer with key differentiation? Can I start with Priyadarshi Mohapatra, please?
Right. Thank you so much, Deepak. Thank you for those kind words. So let me start by saying that at CureBay, we are looking at revolutionizing primary healthcare by solving for last mile. And the way we are looking at doing it is by actually creating a delivery model which is hybrid. So we are aggregating the health tech providers on our platform. At the same time, we are creating last mile connectivity by opening a network of microsatellite centers. We have realized that in this country, the provider and patient ratio, specifically when it comes to public healthcare, is so skewed that it is impossible to solve it if we purely depend on a brick and mortar model. Even technology on its own cannot solve it because technology has limitations in terms of bringing certain services in healthcare to make it holistic if you have to look at, creating a complete impact. Hence, we have created a hybrid model where service providers are coming on our platform and able to deliver their services through this platform, where the connectivity of the services, part digital and part physical, happens in our remote microcenters that we call as e-clinics.
Okay, wonderful. So after that, can I get input from Mr. A.K.Mohanty?
Yeah, once again, Deepak, thank you for giving this opportunity. It's great to talk something very close to all of us. So, though I represent Tatwa Technology, and Tatwa is basically a technology and services company based out of headquartered in Bhubaneswar, and we have pan-India presence, more than 2,000 people working all of the country, as well as we are also serving other global customers also. So we are working in 3 verticals. One is TCI, Technology Consulting and Implementation. There we have few software products and that get marketed. We also provide customized application to customers, that kind of thing. Second is called BPM, Business Process Management or Customer Experience Management. We take care, the company provide comprehensive customer care to different customers in different industry, be it domestic, be it international, from different delivery centers. We have 5 delivery centers in India, we serve them from there. And this subject you're talking about, that digital transformation, I think right now it's and in the pandemic era, it's become a very important topic to be discussed, and it's very important for all of us. So, and especially the company like us, we have to upgrade ourselves as well. Also, we ensure that our services will digitally transform our end users and customers.
Wonderful. So now I think Mr. Chandrahas Panigrahi, how you are going to address this?
Thank you, Deepak Babu, for this opportunity. And it was great to have such a big August audience to be talking with them. Some of them are good old friends also. Okay, so I represent Edukemy, and Edukemy is basically an edtech platform which is completely built on a digital platform which helps students to prepare for competitive examinations. So our vision, in short, is to be the most useful test prep platform where our success rates of students can be much higher than the industry rates. And how we go about it is basically we help in building. Our mission is actually to help building alternative careers or careers in government services, and thereby contribute ourselves in the nation building. And what we exactly do is we solve a very unique problem in your test prep journey of what to study and how to study. It's it's a very small thing, but it's got a lot of detailing that we have done across the journey. And how we do it is basically we do a personalization of each and every student at scale. And we also have what we call as a distinguished set of faculties or educators who are kind of delivering quality content across India, right? So people from the comfort of their homes can actually access the best quality. We've also in the process built few patented technology which we have applied for patents on the evaluation models, both on subjective evaluation and also in objective evaluation, right? We also do what we do is what we call is we build. See, we also believe that students face with a lot of content. Every student, because of YouTube, Google, they are faced with a lot of content. So we work towards in curating the content in such a way that people get reduce their preparation time by at least 30 to 40%, which thereby gives them much more efficiency in preparing. In fact, in the recent UPSC examination that was held about a week back, 70% of the questions that came in the final exams were actually taught by educators. So that's almost double the hit rate of the market. So that's how we have done. And in the classes also, what we've done is we've also got a 2-tutor model. So one tutor for in-class and another tutor for post-class summary. So I think all of this and the faculty, the supply side, the faculty, we have got an ambitious, what I call as a faculty incubation program, which actually trains the tutor to kind of engage people on the platform. So in short, what we do is across the journey of the people, we have built our platform with a mindset of pedagogy first and technology as an enabler.
No, you are absolutely right. So since Nanu has joined, so I would say the 4 entrepreneurs who have joined, they are the most polished one in the state of Odisha. So before that, Nanu, I have to tell, can you share a brief intro about your business and the service you offer with the key differentiation?
Thank you, Deepak, for the invite, and thank you everyone here as a panelist. So I know I heard that how technology has helped us from all corners, that is from Delhi to Bhubaneswar to Bangalore. That we are talking online right now. It is quite a stress also because for good 8-9 hours, one needs to be watching the computer and talking. But then that is how it is, and the world has changed, times have changed. We actually did not know that this way also business can be done. About CSM, we started in '98 as a kind of a typical garage company. And though the startups were not celebrated then, but then we chose to do something of our own, and that too in Odisha, which was a very tough decision, because I still remember, I mean, till yesteryears, people were saying that move out of Bhubaneswar, but then we wanted to stay here because we felt that, like Aishkant may have also thought that there are advantages, and we probably are ready to fight the disadvantages also. So when we started as a typical, IT services company, because our models were Infosys or probably a Satyam those days, and the kind of a work they do. And starting was far more easier than sustaining it. And that is where, 4 or 5 years just went trying to figure out the domain that we truly believe that, we can be a differentiator. So to be a differentiator, it's, as they say, you need to find out, to last any conversation with anybody external, you need to be in 3 minutes time, you should be able to say that what's the difference that between you and the rest of the other. So what we realized that area in the space of GovTech is something which is niche, which is very large. It's difficult to enter, but then, and those days they were in Stone Age, and right now they're in a high-tech age. So in 2 decades, we had predicted it right that, there is going to be a lot more buying of technology by the government or the public sectors that we call it worldwide, not only in India, but in whether in the very developed countries like US or European countries, the same. So probably the bet did work well. The only challenge had been that, while you work with public sectors, you have to be a little bit conservative in terms of the calls that you have to take, because things can spoil. And but no matter whatever it is, that we chose to take the tougher route, and we decided to work in India, and then we decided to work in Africa, because we thought that in Africa to be an emerging destination, that's like a dream place for a lot of companies, a lot of nations, including China and a lot many others. So today, currently, we work in 8 countries in Africa. We work in, we have development setups in 3 states in India, and we work in roughly around 9 to 10 states in India. And we have touched a head count of 1,000 people this year. And, of course, things have happened pretty fast because of pandemic. And pandemic has, transformed that great deal of IT revolution as the way it was in year 2000 with the Y2K happening. We can see the same kind of a surge with the same kind of a demand. So from a company perspective, it's been 23 years. We reached in excess of 1,000 people. We set up US this year, and we are going more westwards from India. And that is what it is. So, there are a lot more to offer.
First of all, thank you and Where India for inviting me for the panel discussion with my fellow entrepreneurs and friends, Nanu, Pany, A.K.Mohanty, Priyadarshi, Mohapatra, and Chandrahas Panigrahi. So at Esquare, business is focused essentially into 3 segments, and they are system integration, digital transformation, and technology consulting, coupled with wide range of IT services, committed to empower business transformation. We have a strong focus into government, public sector, large and medium enterprises, utilities, BFSI, and many more. We always go extra mile for our clients and accelerate their digital transformation needs and journey.
We'll move on to the second question. How can we use emerging technologies to improve customer experience? We'll start with Mr. Mohanty.
Yeah, I give you one very good experience recently. We actually, one of our customers is from GCC in Dubai. They're into shipping. So we are building some kind of shipping ERP kind of thing. So where they used to get a lot of invoice. So we introduced RPA, robotic process automation, to them. And trust me that I was talking to them, I think I'm not, my team used to talk to them, but when I talking to the customer, he told me that implementing RPA has given them, I think, a lot of ease of doing the things, and And because when they employ a lot of people to take care of to punch the data in invoices, and they used to have a lot of difficulty and also a lot of wrongly typing things, and end of the day they have to employ more people to do that one. But implementing RPA practices in that top of that there are things, and they are getting a lot of benefit. Things are very easy right now for them, and also saving at least 2 to 3 manpower per month. That kind of saving they are experiencing, and they are utilizing those people for other more productive jobs. So that kind of, if you bring a lot of technology which enable customer to bring a lot of easiness or smoothness in the operation, it's nothing like that. And we all should think in that line.
You are right, you get, but I think the Priyadarshi has moved from the corporate to a different line. He must have some unthinkable experience. I would like to hear from Priyadarshi.
Which Priyadarshi you have to clarify?
Mohapatra.
Okay, all right. Okay, so let me draw attention to how technology has been used in healthcare. And it's important for all of us to understand that. And I always say that there's a good, bad, and ugly part of it. The good part of technology intervention in healthcare has been on the medtech side. We have some brilliant IPs which have been created on devices on how data can be measured and risk profiling of non-communicable diseases can be done, which saves life. The bad part is how we have vanilla use of telemedicine, which is nothing but a video call, and you haven't looked at a holistic approach. And the ugly part is what I talk about when you talk about commerce as health tech. You know, when you're selling just medicines online, that is commerce, that is not really health tech. Now, let me draw attention to how the true IPs on health tech are helping people, right? Let me give an example of breast cancer. Now, how many of you know that breast cancer diagnosed early in India, the success rate is 90%. However, for every 2 people detected with breast cancer, 1 dies. So the mortality rate is 50%, purely because there is no early detection. And specifically for people living in remote locations, culturally, it is not very suitable to go for things like mammography and all. Now you have emerging technologies where you use an intelligent IR camera, which without any human intervention captures the heat sensitive image, and then you can do a risk profiling of the patient into high risk, low risk, mid risk. And the moment you diagnose them with a high risk, you immediately connect the dots and get them to speak to an oncologist, which saves a life. So the way I look at technology, emerging technologies, how do you connect multiple pieces to really save a life down at an area where even it was not remotely possible and conceivable earlier to take technology? And I must say that while all of us who leverage technology, use technology to create such impact, are converts, and we believe that it can be done, there has also been a massive tailwind after the pandemic, because the hesitant that people had to take healthcare services on a digital platform is removed. Now people are fairly comfortable, taking healthcare services. Equally important, it is on the supply side, because registered medicine practitioners now are very clear that they can use digital platforms without any fear of any compliance and statutory norms to deliver the service. So now it's up to us, to see how do we use such emerging technologies, how we use devices. Like we use a very high-end 12-lead ECG, which is a very easy hand to carry device in the remote locations. You can take an ECG and people don't die thinking it's a gastric problem anymore. Moment that you diagnose it, you connect it with a cardiologist and you save lives. So application of the technology always existed. It is, I think, the application and then connecting the dots with the ecosystem, which is really going to save lives.
Yeah, so it's wonderful. So we want to see your experience as a live. We can see at your field in Odisha whenever we'll go. So before that, we also see that Chandrahas Panigrahi, he also worked for a corporate life. Now is into education domain, become the founder of the EdTech firm. Chandrahas, what is your experience? If you can share on emerging technologies, how improvising your student experience or they might your customer. Can you share such city?
Yeah, sure. See, technology, as I said, is actually a tool, and if it can be leveraged, you actually get the best out of it. So let me give you an example. For example, most of the platforms in education that have been built are actually technology first, followed by education. content being fitted into that. But what we have done is we have done the reverse of it. We have actually gone back and we have put education first, technology as an enabler to education. So we call that as putting ed back into edtech. So let me give you an example. For example, learning analytics and machine learning. How are we using it? A student, for example, when he goes and prepares for a particular competitive exams, he needs to know where he stands at any point in time. So what we do is, and also we also need to know what kind of learner is he. So using technology tool and our analytics platform, we capture what kind of competency that a student learner has, what kind of learning KPIs does he have. For example, learners can be 3-4 types. For example, you can be a hacker, someone who wants to use shortcuts to learn. People who also want to learn in groups. People also want to do a structured way of approaching, right? So we identify that pretty early in advance using our platform. And once we use them, we know what kind of content or what kind of process that we need to give it to him so that his learning becomes very, very effective. If there is a effective learning, the engagement goes up. If the engagement goes up, the customer word of mouth goes up and we get a lot of referrals for that. So what we do is we not only analyze his scores, right? We also give him a hyper-personalized kind of a feedback, which tells him that what does that score mean? What are the insights of that scores? How does he stand versus his peer group? What is the success gap that he requires to succeed in an exam, right? They are very, very critical for a student to know where is he. Now, he may come for an X exam. He may not be suited for it. We can in a very different way tell him that, hey, you should take a Y exam instead of an X exam. Right? So that's one. Gamification is the next one. One is the gamification of content. That's one way of looking at it, which means what you do is you make your static content, the content which are like repetitive in nature, much more meaningful and engaged. Right? But what we also have done gamification is that we have started personalizing the feeds in the app. For example, if a particular customer is using a certain segment of content very, very often, we start to personalize that feeds to him so that his understanding become much, much more deeper. The other thing that is evolving, which we are thinking of, is basically the blockchain, use of blockchain in education. What will that do basically is it will decentralize all your, how do I call it? Decentralize your, for example, or if not decent, so let me put it, basically centralize all your records in the system across the journey. It will also help interaction of the students with the tutors across the world. And also what it can do is it can subsidize the cost of learners from various MOOCs, for example, Coursera, right? So that is where blockchain can be used. Cloud computing is very standard. We use it for all our repository services. And now what we're thinking of is what we call as Web 3.0, which is using AR and VR. We are evaluating use cases where exactly it can be used. Can it be used in classrooms? Can it be used as a peer-to-peer? So we have a peer-to-peer commune platform, right? So can it be used there so that you get a lifelike experience in a platform? So like, you go to a coaching center, you meet people outside. So can you do the similar thing on a tech platform? So these are the various usages that can happen on a tech platform in education.
Wonderful. So you are into services. How can you use emerging technologies to improve customer experience? Again to Nanu.
You see, emerging technology is a call of the day, whether it is, my prediction is that, come 5-6 years from now, we will see that the architects would become more important than the coders, because that will be taken over by robots. And that is the truth. That is the reality. And that is what I tell a lot of youngsters that, try and pursue career, which will sooner get you to an architect level. So robotic process automations, you will see it everywhere and anywhere. And that is how it is going to be. On artificial intelligence, well, we are still at a level of machine learning in a lot of areas, though there have been, there have been some wonderful works that has been done, but still a lot we will see on machine learning leading to artificial intelligence. IoTs will become, it's already become a part of our life. We realize it or don't realize it, but every time, everything that we do today, the vehicles that we drive or the home gadgets that we have, everything is IoT. Now, the challenge would be that the customer experience or the total experience, which I call it nowadays, it is no more about CX, it is about TX, total experience. The customer have to have the customers have to have a 360-degree experience of everything evolving. And that is where, if you have read this book, SDFC 2.0, written by the founders, where they say that, they got a lot of startups to within the SDFC, because fintech is a little bit conservative in terms of, opening up their IT thing for experimentation or adapting of new thing. But they are the best fintech, worldwide. They are the early adopters of IT always, and very secure, stable IT adaptation that they do. But if you look at the products that the banks offers, they're continuously evolving. That is where, I call it as, total experience. They keep on evolving with their offerings on their digital platforms, and which are driven necessarily by the emerging technologies, whether it is on cloud, whether it is uses of AI or RPA and stuff like that. And I think it is Deepak Parikh who wrote this book, and where he mentions that, how he got startups to evolve within SDFC and do these small little things as an experiment, wherein, the adaptation of digital transformation can take place. So, we're just starting to realize that what all can happen. A very interesting project that I am associated with right now on very high resolution satellite imagery to, predict a lot of things on crop utilization. We are doing it in Kenya right now, or probably, I would say I'll refer you a project which is very interesting, which I came to learn also while we're doing it. It is about wheat rust management system that we did again in Kenya, which is to do about disaster management of, how do you manage a disaster when you have some kind of a locust coming in to attack your crops and stuff like that. And the entire thing is tech driven, right? It is like we have this National Disaster Management Authority doing a lot of infrastructure work, uses of IT to save people from any disaster. Similarly, for the crops, there are such wonderful things that is being done, and everything is IT out there, right? From the analytics to robots to IoT devices to UAVs and stuff like that. Everything is in play. So, the world is going to be, we are living the best times, and we are witnessing it. So let's realize it, and let's fulfill whatever that is there in offering.
Wonderful.
A lot of excitement on the newer technologies now, and with COVID coming in, the demand for new technologies is further more. So new technologies can enhance the customer demand in terms of services and support. The progress of video, real-time messaging, chatbots, AI, cryptocurrencies, self-service, and even customer success itself all present the potential for big changes in day-to-day working of customer success practitioners.
So we'll move to the next question. What we have seen, the balance of power between IT and business has shifted, because the need for the integration of business objectives with technology delivery has never been greater. What is your take on it? So we'll start with Mr. A.K.Mohanty.
You see, during this pandemic, things are changing drastically in terms of customer expectation, be it private or be it government, as well as also the delivery. If you see the delivery from different organizations like us, companies are also changing. The approach is changing. So definitely balance between business and IT is required, but it depends on the situation where we are there and how is changing. We have to, end of the day, we need to ensure that customer gets proper services, and we have to ensure that one. And for that, we need to change or we have to balance ourselves with the time.
Good, good. So Mr. Mohapatra, how you will say on it?
I believe, Deepak, to be very honest, that line is becoming more and more vague. You cannot separate technology from business. And then let me give you a live example. Today, when I run this healthcare venture, I truly believe that I'm not just the CEO, but I'm also the CDO. And the reason I say that, every aspect of business, from customer acquisition on the demand side to managing payments to all your providers on the supply side, to aggregating them and ensuring the dots are connected, everything will be solved using technology, right? So you cannot in isolation think about figuring out a solution or building grounds up to solve a problem without figuring out, how you use technology to do that. Because as a startup, your aim is speed and scale. And if you want to achieve speed and scale, you need to ensure that you're using the right platforms, the right technologies, and in the right manner. So to me, that line is very vague. Today, it is deeply coupled, the joint at the hip. So every time you think of a business opportunity, every time you identify a gap, you at the same time think of how you're going to leverage processes as well as technology to solve for it if you're looking for speed and scale.
Wonderful. So, like, you are also the Chief Investment Officer. Good. So we have Nanu. So Nanu, I have a question for you. The balance of power between IT and business has shifted because the need for the integration of business objectives with technology delivery has never been greater. What is your take on it?
If I have understood your question right, no matter whoever you are today, you are an IT company, right? Whether your business with CureBay, I think it is all about health, but the engine is IT. Or with Edukemy, it is all about IT, the tech stack. And we are the guys who support IT, of course. But then there is hardly anything today which is non-IT. And there is a big confusion whether the startups out there are IT company or are they a core company. So, I mean, just to draw a reference to the context that there is no balance. No, everything is now IT. That is how I probably can summarize that.
Yeah. So now we'll hear from CP.
Yeah, thank you. I think I agree with all my three participants. There's no difference. The lines are now all blurred. It's all now. See, we don't exist if we don't have tech, if we don't have IT or we don't have tech. Entire thing, and we don't have any offline presence, so to say. Everything starting from our content to marketing to acquisition to sales to delivery of courses to scheduling of classes to post-class engagement to peer-to-peer engagement to post-class engagement. Everything is on tech. So we are nothing without tech, for example. But few things that it does help tech. One is that obviously it gets people like us, people, Priyadarshi, Nanu, they are in Bhubaneswar, you are in Delhi, I'm in Bangalore. We're talking live, right? So that's a very simple way of understanding. If technology was not there, you wouldn't have spoken live, right? It's very, very simple. For us, obviously, as I said, technology, for example, we have a commune platform where people do a peer-to-peer engagement, right? There's just on a platform, they get a real life engagement there, right? Security is one example that we do. We use technology to what we call as auto-generate content and questions and answers, right? By using deep search. So those are the kind of use cases that we do on tech. It's got more and more advanced, and with Web 3.0 coming in, with AR and VR getting in, and with relevant use cases, it's going to be even more immersive than what you are seeing today.
Good.
So digital transformation is the integration of digital technology into all areas of business, fundamentally changing how you operate and deliver value to the customers. Second most important thing is building for a strong foundation through integration across increasingly heterogeneous application landscapes have never been more important than in today's fast-paced environment.
To move to the next question, consumers are incredibly sophisticated in the demands related to the last mile delivery. how your services are complementing for consumer centric. We'll start with Mr. Priyadarshi Mohapatra.
So our vision, Deepak, is to actually solve for last mile in primary healthcare in remote and underserved location, right? So for us, it becomes extremely important how we connect the dots to do that. Like I had explained earlier, our model is a hybrid model. So we have a fairly advanced technology platform through which service providers can deliver their services. But in healthcare, we have realized unless you create platforms which is about assisted healthcare in remote locations, people will find it very difficult to consume. You know, even in my earlier days when I used to head a business where mobile phone was a large part, we used to always give statistics of mobile phone, smartphone penetration in rural India. But all of us know that a lot of that is used for consumption of entertainment or to watch cricket scores, not so much for fields like healthcare, education, and more important things which will become relevant in the future. So what we do, we've actually created three parts to the model. So our remote locations are connected through a logistics, which is a physical logistics that we have created grounds up, and our tech platform delivers the service model. So let me give you an example. If you have to holistically solve for healthcare in a remote location, and you use the principles of Pareto, you need to solve for consultations, you need to solve for medicine delivery, you need to solve for lab tests. Now, consultations you can very well do through a digital platform, but the ability to send medicines to these remote locations and ensure that the samples collected reach a high quality lab, you need to have a physical presence in the last mile connectivity through logistics. So that's how we have created our model, and that's how we are impacting lives at the last mile.
Yeah, Mr. Mohanty, if you can throw some light.
Yeah, you know that I just listening to Mr. Priyadarshi Mohapatra. Same way, the customers, even if I give example from one of our division, that customer experience management at one of our customer. So earlier in the customer care, people used to only have they understand that last mile connectivity means somebody will call it, will pick up it, and answer the calls. Right now, we are introducing a lot of new things, how to enhance the customer experience better than like chat support or mail support. Or right now, I give you one example that chat has come so that it will have least disturbance to the customer. So we have come up some solutions internally, built something and introduced to give into that customer, and through that we are serving the customers. I mean, end customers also. That the chat support has also gained a lot of, I think, acceptance from the end users and things. So last mile service, this kind of delivery, I think the scenario is changing day by day. So as Nanu said, that the technology, the evolving of technology, latest technology like AI, ML, and AI VR, or Mr. Panigrahi was telling on that. So I think we have to always be on the toe in terms of technology, giving better services to our customers in last mile delivery.
Good. So CP, how you are putting this together into the education domain or edtech domain?
Yeah, see, education is among the top two discretionary spends of a consumer. And now, which means that they give that much of importance to education, right? Healthcare is big, the other one. So the key thing in education, and when you're looking at educating people for services or jobs, it becomes even more important. So as I said, the key problem we are solving is what to study and how to study, two fundamental things. So what we do, and I think I just told you a few minutes back, every customer that comes to us, we understand their learner KPIs, their learner competency, how he wants to go about preparing for exams, to getting him onboarded and across the journey to the classes, right? And post the classes, how do we engage with him on the engagement platform that we have, the post-class platform, including a peer-to-peer connect platform. I think everywhere we are using tech as a platform and using it to complement our services and using it as an effective tool rather than using the standard manual process, right? So that's how we are actually working on one part. The second part is, as I spoke about, the learner analytics and using machine learning on top of that, right? So how do we personalize a customer performance in a class in the way that we are able to give him his exact status as to how is he doing, where is he, what is his success gap, so on and so forth. So all of these things add on to the last mile connect of a consumer or aspirant, a learner in our example. And this is exactly what we are going about. So that's how we are.
So Nanu, because as you are told you are catering your service to across the globe, many countries to name. So how you manage the last mile delivery by sitting in the rural part of the country in Bhubaneswar?
Very interesting question. Deepak. Have you ever thought about how GST got implemented in India? That's a key to a lot of answers. When I remember a decade back, there'd been a lot of these forums that I've attended where people used to talk about digital divide, bridging the digital divide, and stuff like that. Gone are those times. Nowadays, we just need to think about capturing any data or any information or anything from the grounds up, from the rural India even, right? We are able to do that. With no time, and that is where the service deliveries have improved considerably. And implementation of GST by one and all across the country, whether it is a Kirana shop or anything, how they have been how they have got adapted, gives a lot of boost that, at the last mile, you have connectivity issues, education, uses of gadgets or any kind of tabs, everything is out there. So you can actually take services to the rural population, which is like 80% in our country. Now, that is what I consider to be a last mile, other than, the businesses. I'll give you one example where, you should be able to connect dots. Recently, Honorable Prime Minister launched a program called Gati Sakti. It is all about logistics, because logistics eats away. It is a very anxious movement to the stakeholders who operate, whether it is, imagine a freight coming from Hong Kong and it has to go to Bhopal. It is far more easier from Hong Kong to reach the Haldia port, and it is extremely complicated to go from Haldia to Bhopal, because then it has to pass through 2-3 states. The laws of the land of in our federal country, right, restricts the movement, right? You understand where I'm coming from. Now, I work a lot in the mining sector. We have a product called Integrator, which integrates a lot of such elements, and we are doing some digital logistics management for Tata Steels, for JSW, and it is all about solving the last mile problem that they have, particularly with the trucks. Because the trucks which are carrying mineral, they have to, from the pit to the port, that is what I call it. There are multiple carriers that comes into play, right? Whether it is Indian Railways or whether it is the trucks, the conveyor belts, the ships, and all those people come into play. Now, how to make sure that, using digital, we are able to reduce, you can't reduce 100%, but at least 40 to 50% can be achieved. The rest 40 to 50% is all about training to individual adaptation by those sector of the people to adapt technology, which is very challenging though. But interestingly, today, most of the governments also have realized that the lands and buildings are no more the assets. The data is also an asset. And that is where, I am also advocating with a lot of public sector that the data that they hold, the data that they capture, they should open it up and they should monetize. So while, that's a kind of an advocacy program that is going on, which sooner or later that will happen. But on the last mile, I think the penetration of mobile and with the advent of 5G, things will be completely different what we see today. So, I think people or entrepreneurs who have thought about taking service delivery to the rural India, which was otherwise difficult in a decade back, now looks extremely positive. And with pandemic, though unfortunate, but then it has actually, the penetration of internet or penetration of gadgets to the rural India has increased many folds. So that is where I come from when you call about a last mile, or you take for example how DBT is working today, the direct beneficiary transfer. It's in a completely different level altogether. I mean, the kind of problems that India had is no more there. You click a button, you think about a scheme, click a button, money goes and hits your account, right?
I agree with my co-panelists, Priyadarshi, Nanu, Chandrahas, and Aishkant on their views. At Esquare, we use the next generation of enablers, including intelligent automation, human-machine collaboration, IoT, and cybersecurity to exploit business benefits and streamline business value for the organization in the years ahead. Esquare accelerates its clients' growth through technological expertise and experience. We create solutions that will help your organization thrive by combining elite technical skills with personalized strategy to yield fast, high quality results. In the end, success means more than high user adoption and successful deployment. It means improving your business with partners you trust.
Now we come to the final question. As a tech entrepreneur, how your business is complementing or could complement the delivery of services in the state? We'll start with Aishkant.
State of Odisha, definitely we are not doing much work in Odisha, and a few government projects we have been doing, but most of things we have been doing from outside. But definitely as a technological entrepreneur, though we have a presence and we have the people and technology, so we can reach out to and whatever new program or new things coming up, we can take it to the individual that's coming out, that Nanu was talking about, that reaching out the people. That the pandemic has taught us that suppose the last mile delivery kind of things. So we have come up, we are working with one project here, over here also. So delivery, it's a e-commerce kind of things. I mean, the private customer over here. So delivery, he was facing a lot of problem in delivering to the end customers. So we built end-to-end application from them, using our different technology, so that seamlessly how his services and goods can deliver to the customer to all the parts of the state, not in exactly in Bhubaneswar. Like Nanu said, it will be more improved when we have 5G or other things available. And thanks that people are rural area also having that mobile and smartphone also. That helps definitely. So that technology we have been working on more and more on that, how to ensure that people who are coming e-commerce industry using our technology and our applications, and they will reach out the customer, deliver services to different customers, look and corner of the state.
Good. So now we'll hear from the Priyadarshi Mohapatra.
So Deepak, if you look at what we are trying to solve, which is the last mile in primary healthcare, everybody in the healthcare industry had left it for the government to solve. Public healthcare has always remained a subject for the government to solve. Private bodies have mostly invested in secondary and tertiary healthcare. We believe what we are doing will augment what the government has been trying to do to a large extent, because the focus area is the same. How do we build on the network the government has created? And how do we ensure that we cover the gaps which exist in the market through technology and through the hybrid network that we have created to take the services even further to areas that healthcare has not reached? And government of Odisha specifically, if I look at, has been probably one of the most progressive government when it comes to healthcare. If you look at some of the initiatives that have been taken, including, I would say, the inclusive healthcare initiative under BSKY, it's fantastic. But how do you facilitate that? How do you ensure that more and more people are able to take benefit from that? I truly believe the CureBay model reaching beyond the blocks and taluks and going to those areas which had remained underserved. Now people will be able to avail more and do more with the services government are providing them when they come through our platform. So everything that we are doing is sort of augmenting the initiative which already a progressive government is taking.
Okay, let's now hear from Chandrahas Panigrahi.
Okay. I think Odisha, the state, being our motherland, remains very close to my heart always. It always was, it always will be. So the first thing that when we diversified from our UPSC, we actually went to Odisha, the first state that we went into, and we have set up our offices in Odisha also. So I believe that Odisha has got a lot of good educators. They have good talent there. We've got people who can deliver good courses or can create good content. So we see Odisha as one of our future where we can create a lot of content and also use the resources for delivery. That's one. Secondly, what we have done is that we've also gone with a ambition that representing a lot more people from Odisha in the national map of civil services, right? So we opened up our platform there, and we've also started training people for the local administrative exams, or OS, which we call it, Odisha Administrative Services. And last year, we got out of 150, we got about 10 people qualified from our platform that quickly. So what we are also doing is that we are specifically reaching out to people there in the state in terms of getting them access to the top quality educators, the best educators, in a way which is much more immersive than many would otherwise do. So I think we will continue to look at Odisha for a lot more investments in future, primarily because of the access of educators that we have, primarily because of the business opportunities that we get. And mostly, as a fellow Odia person, I want a lot more people from the state to be representing the state in the civil services.
Wonderful. So now finally you will hear from Nanu.
Thank you.
Deepak, I did mention, first of all, before I say something, I should, wish best of luck to Chandrahas for his thoughts and to Priyadarshi to, taking the healthcare. And I like that idea of augmentation. Focus is same, and that's a true model of public-private partnership that can happen. I think it's wonderful. And as Aishkant mentioned, right, so we are both from Odisha. We started here, and honestly, Odisha has been my test bed. That's the best place. That's the best thing that I can say. So we have experimented everything. I think we are working under the leadership of a legend right now, Shri Naveen Patnaik, and things are. I work in many states in the country. The challenges are there, but the progressive thoughts, because here we have experimented a lot of things which otherwise we don't get that opportunity, to be very honest. And that has enabled us to probably go and advocate and change systems. If I have to say, I think all of us are with the age where we may have passed class 10th or class 12th from Odisha only. And if at all you had attempted to study in BJP college or any Ravenshaw college, if at all you had, without going to engineering and all, you remember how those days were, right? There are something roughly around 2,500 colleges in Odisha, right? Where, the Ravenshaws, the private colleges, autonomous colleges, the Sanskrit colleges, you name it, there are different categories and different types. In 2009, I remember, government of Odisha, and there were some great, very bright officers, they were struggling to find out what is the kind of a number of seats that are there in Ravenshaw College, how many science seats, how many people-teacher ratio, infrastructure, that was the struggle, and they wanted to create a database. So we went. And we said that, what's the point in doing something like that? Because it's like government to government transaction, and this will never sustain, because once you update a database, then next you will forget, and there is no reason. So there has to be a catalyst effect. The catalyst effect is the children getting admission. Odisha is the only state in the entire country where a child from Malkangiri, the moment he passes class 10th, he wants to go the ITI route, he wants to go the diploma route, he wants to go and study +2, he wants to go into sports, he wants to, yes, so these are 2-3 things. The only way to apply to this 2,500 colleges is an online form. So he gives his, different wishes that I want. My first preference is Ravinsha, second is BJP, third is this, and I am from A, B, C category, because selection to colleges is very difficult because you still have Akai rules like, Burma repatriate, 1% quota, you have civil service quota, you have different kind of quota. It's very complicated. Now, from one shot, I remember that, when I was in school, when I passed out, it was so difficult, the anxiety of buying forms from Basic Science College, from BJP College, from Ravinsha College, and each one of them will probably publish their list. And then if you want to, in a second selection, if you get your preferred college, then getting a TC from the first one was difficult. Many a times we must have faced that our relatives used to call, friends used to call, we have pick up that form from A, B, C colleges. All these things are gone. This is the only state where you have a centralized admission to roughly around 500,000 children or 5 lakh children in +2 and roughly around 2.5 lakh children in degree colleges. A central application. Now you go to, see, Delhi University may have as a university for the colleges, like, 200 colleges, they would have done it. But Delhi state doesn't do it because it is a state subject. It is a concurrent subject between the center and the state. So the state has to formulate, the chancellor has to come up with, the procedures and all those things. So this went on to win the national award twice, in 2014 and in 2016. Twice it has won the national award. It is extremely difficult to get it implemented because of the change management. But then, as they say, we have, the way the world has changed with Uber and Ola, right? Or the Netflix has changed. So this has become a new normal, right? Fine. We really don't remember how it was. So this is what, the state has to offer. If you really want to, if you have bright ideas, right? Struggles are there everywhere. But it's a great place. Bhubaneswar is, is now adapting to. I read some articles where Bhubaneswar, Chandigarh, Raipur are the most preferred tier 2 cities post-pandemic, and which is good sign. The infrastructure is also good. And for IT, I think there are a lot of things that have come up. So things are very bright. And in the state, since I'm headquartered here, naturally my affection is very high. A lot of Odiya works with us, and that gives us a lot of satisfaction. That's all I can say.
We aim at delivering value by thoroughly evaluating the problem statement and assessing priorities in order to design a roadmap in collaboration with the customer, aligned with their business strategy. We are always open to partner with other businesses to create unique customer opportunities, resulting in better customer experiences and greater brand awareness. That can lead to faster growth, market expansion, and higher profits.
Wonderful. I'd like to thank all the panelists. It is a really perfect panel discussion. So there's great inputs from Mr. Priyadarshi Mohapatra, Mr. A.K.Mohanty, Mr. Priyadarshi, Nanu, Pany, and Chandrahas, Panigrahi. I'd like to thank all the panelists to join the things.
Thank you, gentlemen. I would say it was simply a path-breaking panel discussion session. With this, we have come to the end of the session.